With Tommy Hunter. Here he is now, ready to shake up your late nights. Your host, Tommy Hunter.
Yeah, that's right. Here we are once again, another Saturday night live from LA. It's The Edge at Night with me, your host, Tommy Hunter. Welcome back to another Saturday night with another amazing guest. I have the former bodyguard of both J-Lo and P. Diddy coming in to the studio tonight. Actually, he's calling into the studio tonight, all the way from Dallas, Texas. We're going to get it to him in just a few minutes. His name's Dutch Bradley. If you don't know who he is, go check him out, DutchBradley.com. But, hey, before we get started, I always like to talk about what's happened during the week, what's going on, and all that fun stuff. Man, oh man. As you guys know, last week we had Brad Alden Mowry in the studio, and Brad is an amazing guitarist, band member, and all kinds of other good stuff. I mean, he's got his own Gene company. If you're chimed in on Tiki Live right now, which you can just see me here in the studio, I've got his shirt on. It's called the Genes Project, which goes to help fund all kinds of incredible things like homeless people and people trying to get jobs and all kinds of cool stuff. And Brad actually has an album coming out here on October 3rd, and he's going to release it at a free concert at Angelus Temple, which is also known as the Dream Center here in LA. And let me tell you, this guy has just got so many incredible people on this album with him. There is Tyler Logan, Israel Houghton, B.J. Putnam's band. He's also in a collaboration with Seda Jackson and Charles Jones. And if you haven't heard Charles Jones's voice, that dude has got just the killer voice. This guy did part of the Rolling Stones backup singing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. So what an amazing singer. But anyways, Brad's got that album coming out. Come join me. I'm going to be there October 3rd. That's over at the Angelus Temple in LA, also known as the Dream Center. Google it, you'll find it. And you can always find Brad just by going to Brad Alden on Google and finding out who he is, or find him on Facebook, or go to my Facebook at Tommy Hunter, and you can find him there as well. And let's see, what else do we have going on? Well, today I went down and tried to get out of this heat that we're having here in Southern California, which, for those of you who are just tuning in or live here in the area, you guys know it's been, at least up here in the studio, 105 here at the studio today in LA. That's insane. I mean, that's like, I heard somebody go well, let me just back up. I went to the aquarium down over in Long Beach. I can walk to that right from my house, and was petting sharks. That's right. I stuck my hand in the water petting sharks. And if you go to my Instagram right now at The Edge at Night, you'll see some of the sharks that I were petting, and it was pretty freaky. But anyways, hey, everybody, look in the camera. Look over at my sound engineer, Matt. Matt waved everybody. I decided we'd put the camera on Matt tonight because Matt is one of my favorite sound engineers here at the studio. But either way, stay tuned, because coming back to the next segment, I've got the one, the only Dutch Bradley coming up, and you don't want to miss this story. So stay tuned right here on CRA Digital Talk Radio to The Edge at Night.
Hi, this is SVH, former guitarist for Brian Headwelch. I'm here on The Edge at Night with an amazing instrument, the U-Rock Guitar Gen 2. The U-Rock guitar is a multifaceted creative tool for guitarists, offering a variety of built-in guitar and synth tones that can connect to any amp via its quarter-inch jack. But that's not all. The YRG is a fully functional, zero-latency MIDI controller, which you can use to control any VST, DAW plug-in, or other MIDI controllable device. You can even use your U-Rock guitar to transcribe your favorite riffs to notation or tablature, giving guitarists the ability to do things that no ordinary keyboard controller would allow them to do. Or plug in with headphones for quiet practice or late night jams, and even connect your iPod via the 1/8-inch jack and rock out with your favorite songs. Check out the U-Rock guitar today at urockguitar.com, and be sure to check them out on Facebook or Twitter. And keep listening to The Edge at Night.
All right, once again, welcome back to The Edge at Night with me, your host, Tommy Hunter, and My special co-host, which happens to be one of my friends too, all the way from Dallas, Texas, the Hayabusa riding, boot wearing, Big D from Dallas, the Dutch Bradley.
Yeah.
What's up, Big D?
Man, I'm going to start calling you Tommy the Truth Hunter.
Tommy the Truth Hunter. I like it. I like it, man.
You are the truth hunter. You keep bringing guys on your show because you want to seek the truth, and when you find it, you want everybody listening to know it. You're Tommy the Truth Hunter to me from here on out.
Man, I'll tell you what. Can you everybody listen? Can you tell Dutch and I have a very long-standing bromance going? So, but listen, Dutch, thanks for coming on the show tonight, man. You and I have been talking about doing this for a long time. I'm glad to have you on finally, and thanks for staying up. I know it's 12. It's 12:12 in Dallas, Texas, right now. And I know I'm the only one besides a young lady that you would stay up this late for.
Yeah, you're my man. So
all right,
we're good.
Which, speaking of young ladies, are you dating anybody yet? Are you still single?
Man, how you gonna just put me out on the airwaves like that?
You know why, Dutch? Because I want you to know that 90% of my listeners are all single females.
In that case, go to Dutch Bradley on Facebook.
All right. Well, getting back to so I introduced you as the former bodyguard for J-Lo and for P. Diddy, and we'll get to that here in a second. But listen, man, did you hear, I don't know if you heard or not today, but former celebrity bodyguard Norman Osterbrook, who used to protect both Jay-Z and Beyonce, was killed today, or he died today.
Yeah, actually, I don't think it was today. I think it was yesterday that I heard about it. But yeah, I actually had the opportunity to meet him while he was traveling with Jay-Z and Beyonce. I had the privilege of meeting a lot of different people in the industry, man. But life is but a vapor, bro. I mean, that's what the Lord tells us. So we got to get in here and do what we're supposed to do before we got to get back out.
Yeah, I feel you. And from what I understand, the guy was running around naked, got caught in somebody else's house, and got caught up. So anyways, I got a question for you, because I thought about this after we talked earlier today.
Yeah, no, I've never run around in anyone's house naked like that.
Yeah, no. Oh, you know what? However, you have run around my house in your underwear.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You got me. Tommy the Truth Hunter.
There it is. You came out your underwear. I was like, dude, man, you feeling all kinds of comfortable. Anyways, it's funny, dude. People are which, by the way, if you want to chat with me or get on chat with Dutch and I, just go to tikilive.com, and there's a chat room in there, and somebody just wrote to me, they were laughing, they go, why do you do that to all your guests? And it's like, just like Dutch said, man, I want the truth to come out. Yeah, so there it is. But what's the craziest thing you ever encountered or witnessed in the times that you were protecting either one of those folks?
Wow, the craziest thing. The craziest thing.
Or the most unexpected thing, while you're out there doing your thing.
Well, the hard thing for me is this, man, is that I try not to divulge anything that would incriminate either of the two people that I was with, and the craziest thing would incriminate the two people that I was actually doing security for. So I can't actually use them in the story. That's just the code, man, that anytime that I speak of them, I want to make sure that I'm speaking of them in the best light of things, because it was a great honor and privilege to travel with them. But anything from one of the craziest things that I don't know if you would consider it crazy, but I remember flying into South America and them wanting to take our passports from us because a guy had threatened Jennifer Lopez, and I knocked him out.
You just laid some holy hands on him, and just
I laid holy hands on him, and I was willing to raise him back up in the name of the Lord. But the police came and they wanted to take our passports, and we just refused to give them up. So we were kind of in hiding until we made it to the airport. But I know that's probably not the kind of crazy you're looking for, but But that was definitely one encounter that I will never, ever, ever forget, and I'm pretty sure that guy won't forget it either.
Right on. Hey, and just so you know, this is going. I mean, I've, because of the, like the friends that I have, Head is one of them, and that I've gone and done some of that stuff like what you do. And this last weekend, the boy band project, which is Levi Mitchell's been on this show, and Levi's this 15-year-old stud of a young man who has determined he's not going to have sex till he gets married. And I mean, he's the one Christian in the whole band. But so he asked me, he's like, "Hey man, we're doing this show at the Roxy. Can you come? Can you come be our private security?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." Nice. So, dude, I was in the middle of the Roxy with 5 extremely good-looking young men and 500 screaming young teenage girls. Can you imagine that?
I think that's awesome, bro. That's great.
It was hot, it was loud, and I was glad it was done at the end. But I was, like you said, it was a privilege to be a part of something like that. So, what do you think maybe was one of your best moments? Yeah, I was actually, if I can just kind of tag the back end of what you just said, I'm asked all the time, hey, Dutch, man, would you ever go back out and do bodyguard work? And my answer is always, yeah. I'm not closed off to what the Lord may use me to do here in my future. But 2 of the things that I look for is, 1, it would have to be a really high-profile person that I was traveling with, like the ones that I had the privilege of doing, working with in the past. Or 2, it would have to be the scenario you just described, where somebody that is within the group, the band, or the celebrity was somebody who was really looking to protect and guard their relationship, their walk, their talk with the Lord, and they wanted somebody that would provide them with kind of a guardian angel type of protective service. So what you did, man, I think is a great thing, and I think it's wonderful. I've never heard of him, but I just looked him up on Facebook, and I'll learn more about him now. Probably the highlight of my work with them, I could probably give you a lot of highlights, man, because I can remember, and we're going to get into where I had come from, which is why these things are highlights, is, flying on a private jet plane with the world-famous, actually 2 world-famous entertainers, Jennifer Lopez, and at that time she was married to Mark Anthony. And I remember landing in foreign cities and countries that I couldn't even pronounce the names of the cities. I mean, Santander, Alicante, Benidorm, all these are cities in Spain. Staying in the baddest hotel I ever stayed in was in Barcelona, Spain, where Jen and Mark had the top penthouse floor, which were like 3 levels at the top of the building, overlooking the water in Barcelona. And, just flying in and seeing thousands of people just waiting and waving and crying and waving their nation's flags. And, for a guy like me, man, I just thought that was pretty incredible. And the thing I used to love to do, you'll appreciate this, bro, is when the jet plane would land, I would love to go to the door of the jet, and I would always be the first man out. So when the door would come down, I would stand in the middle of the door with my hand up on my hip. Check it out. When we come back, Dutch, hold that thought because we want to hear more. So you guys stay tuned right here to The Edge at Night on CRN Digital Talk Radio.
Fact. U.S. credit card debt is 8 times larger than it was 30 years ago. No wonder you and I are feeling the credit card crunch. You're not alone. Increasing prices and the costs of credit are stretching budgets and preventing people just like us from getting ahead or just catching up with our debts. At American Financial Debt Relief, we can help. We have tested ways to help you get out of debt. Find out how now. The call is free to learn more. If you qualify, we can reduce your interest, show you how to stop your debt from getting larger, and help you get out of debt faster than you can by making minimum payments. So if you're falling behind on your credit cards or medical bills, give us a call right now, where a free 5-minute call can change your life.
800-978-4817. 800-978-4817. Reduce your credit card debt. Call now. 800-978-4817. 800-978-4817.
How could anyone trust our healthcare system after it tells patients their health problems are incurable after its treat the symptom protocols fail? Then many of these same patients get well after Googling diseases cured with sea salt and water, or Googling water cure TV news specials. Instead of science trying to find out why these people got well, they continue to use the same failed protocols. Even Saudi Arabia is doing the right thing. Google Saudi Gazette salt cures 73 illnesses. The truth gets out because we pay for it. No one else has the courage. Paid for by Connie and Bob Butts.
Getting the kids ready to go back to school, an ADT monitored security system can help keep your children safe after school, safe from fire, intruders, and other emergencies. And now you can get an ADT monitored system worth $850 for free. That's right, free. You pay just a $99 installation charge and purchase monthly monitoring for less than $2 a day. Call Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer today. Call 866-669-8954. You'll get 24-hour protection and peace of mind. Call today and get a bonus offer of a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home. Use it for clothes, school supplies, or whatever you want. But call now, 866-669-8954. That's 866-669-8954. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms for all details and license numbers.
The Edge at Night is sponsored by U-Rock Guitar Gen 2, a multi-dimensional guitar, MIDI controller, and so much more. With its zero latency tracking and real feel playability, the U-Rock guitar is the perfect creative tool for guitarists whether on stage or in the studio. The Gen 2 has 100 user customizable presets, or use the built-in USB port to connect to your favorite DAW, VST, or MIDI device and experience a limitless world of sound possibilities. To get yours today, visit urockguitar.com.
All right, once again, welcome back to The Edge at Night with me, your host, Tommy Hunter, and my co-host, Dutch Bradley, all the way from the Big D, Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Hey, so before we get kicked back into gear, my girl Kat, all the way from Anaheim, is chimed in. I got Julie Bourne chimed in on chat here. I can see there's some other folks. I don't know your names, but I see you all over the guest list there. And so thanks for tuning in to The Edge at Night with me and Dutch tonight. So, Dutch, when we last left that last segment, man, we were talking about one of your best moments, and I know you were talking about how you're flying all over the world, going to places that you couldn't even pronounce. You almost sounded like you were speaking in tongues here on the radio. But then the door shuts, and that's kind of the moments you remember, just flying all over. Now, I know your story, and I know that a lot of people listening, I know at least a couple of people here I know that are on the chat room here, they don't know it, and they want to know it. And so we know you didn't start off just, you woke up one day and said, hey, I'm going to go be a bodyguard for these guys. So,
right.
So we're, the way that I had pushed the show, you did some things before all this, didn't you?
Yeah.
So let's get into it, man. Dig deep.
Okay, well, depending on what direction you want to go, the whole bodyguard thing came about, quite honestly, because I had spent a couple of years working in some mega church environments, and I became so disenchanted because the church was having all of these concerts on Sunday morning, but they weren't reaching any of the people like me. They weren't reaching the people who were out here cutting up, tripping out, who needed help. And out of that disenchantment, I ended up in Miami, Florida, where my brother, wife, and his family were living. And it's hard to tell the story backwards, but because of previous mistakes in my life, I was unable to get a job because I had felonies on my record.
And those felonies are from way back when, before you got on private jets, you were trying to get onto a commercial jet with some stuff.
Okay, yeah, we can go there.
See, now, come on now.
Yeah, we can go there. So a big part of my past was, growing up as a boy, I became disenchanted because I never met my real father, still never met him, and I grew up very angry. And I've found that in telling and sharing my story, it really connects with a lot of people, because a lot of people out here today, they don't have great relationships with their fathers either, and it caused me to be very angry. I had dreams growing up. Most people have dreams. I wanted to be a professional athlete. I ended up with my girlfriend becoming pregnant with our son, and I made my son some promises like, son, I'm going to always be here for you. I'm never going to do to you what my father did to me. I'm going to love you. You're going to know my voice. I'm going to be there all through your life. But the problem, Tommy, is that I was writing checks with my mouth that my lifestyle could not cash, because while I was making those promises, I was going into Harlem, New York. I was going up in the top floors on buildings with 4 men escorting me with Uzis and shotguns. I was talking to men who didn't speak my language. They didn't look like me. They weren't from where I was from. And I dropped a knapsack of money down on the table, and they'd walk to the back, and they'd pull out a knapsack full of white powder, and I'd take those bricks of white powder, and I'd chop them up, and I'd saran wrap those bricks of powder around my body, up around my legs and up around my torso, and then I'd put on that fly, double-breasted Italian suit. You know the one I'm talking about, bro.
I do.
I put that one with that thin pinstripe in it, with that Italian silk tie. I throw on some Italian loafers, and I'd pick up my briefcase. I'd slick back my hair, and with that cocaine concealed underneath of that Italian suit, I'd walk straight through metal detection in the airports of New York, fly to Atlanta, drop off, and I would have drop spots that were set up the whole way back up the coast. And my dreams went from being a professional athlete to becoming the next Tony Montana, becoming a drug entrepreneur. And the problem was I had made some promises to my son, and that lifestyle was going to cancel out every promise that I had ever made.
Man, that's, and I know there's some folks listening tonight who, at least I know Kat is listening, and I know she can relate, and some other folks, they're all chiming in. And Dutch, when we come back to the next segment, I want you to just tell us where you go from there. I mean, you go from the rooftop to strapping on this stuff to getting in the airport, got all these drop spots, but that doesn't seem like that ties into the whole bodyguard thing. In fact, it seems like it kind of contradicts the whole thing. So I know some stuff happened in between, so we'll get into that in the next segment. So everybody, do me a favor, stay tuned to The Edge at Night right here on CRN Digital Talk Radio. And if you want to find out who Dutch is outside the studio, just go to DutchBradley.com, or you can find him on Instagram or Facebook. It's just Dutch Bradley. You see when we get back.
Attention business owners. Did you know that over 50% of people who search for a local business are doing it on their mobile device? If your business doesn't have a website designed for mobile viewing, then you're missing out on a huge amount of new customers. The good news is that ABI Hosting is now giving away a free mobile website with every annual business plan. That's right. Sign up with ABI today, and we'll include a mobile version of your website absolutely for free. This doesn't replace your current website. It's an additional version optimized for mobile viewing that you can also edit and further customize. It's loaded with high-tech features, including click-to-map and the popular click-to-call feature, which makes it even easier for mobile users to find you.
Is this item in stock?
I'd like to make a reservation.
To learn more, call now.
1-800-769-0887. That's 1-800-769-0887. Get your free mobile website now. Again, 1-800-769-0887. That's 1-800-769-0887.
Time's running out. You're maxed out on your credit cards. The collection calls are coming every day, and now you're 2 payments behind on your mortgage. Every time you turn on the radio, there's some cheerful couple telling you how they got out of debt overnight. Their stress is gone, and everything's just wonderful. Come on. The truth is, what sounds too good to be true is too good to be true. Banks don't build skyscrapers so you can walk in and settle your credit card debt for pennies on the dollar. You need real help, and you need it now. Not bankruptcy. That should be your last choice. We're Credit Card Relief, and we've been helping people just like you for nearly a decade. We're the only attorney-driven program dedicated to helping you get out of debt in months instead of years, saving you thousands, and without risking your family home. We know what we're doing, and we don't make promises we can't keep. The consultation is free, and the relief is real.
800-981-7595. 800-981-7595. 800-981-7595.
Hi, this is SVH, former guitarist for Brian Headwelch. I'm here on the edge at night with an amazing instrument, the U-Rock Guitar Gen 2. The U-Rock guitar is a multifaceted creative tool for guitarists, offering a variety of built-in guitar and synth tones that can connect to any amp via its quarter-inch jack. But that's not all. The YRG is a fully functional, zero-latency MIDI controller which you can use to control any VST, DAW plug-in, or other MIDI controllable device. You can even use your U-Rock guitar to transcribe your favorite riffs to notation or tablature, giving guitarists the ability to do things that no ordinary keyboard controller would allow them to do. Or plug in with headphones for quiet practice or late-night jams, and even connect your iPod via the 1/8-inch jack and rock out with your favorite songs. Check out the U-Rock guitar today at urockguitar.com, and be sure to check them out on Facebook or Twitter. And keep listening to The Edge at Night.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
All right, welcome back. Once again, another Saturday night with me, your host, Tommy Hunter, here on The Edge at Night with my guest tonight, Dutch Bradley. Now, Dutch, when we last left that other segment there, we were talking about how we went from commercial jets to private jets.
Yeah.
But there was some stuff that happened in between to get you through all that stuff. So
yeah, absolutely, bro.
So talk to us about that, will you?
Yeah, so the way it went down for me, man, was, I don't want to take lightly at all the birth of my son, because my son is the joy of my life. And so what had happened was I was carrying this cocaine from New York down to Atlanta. I was setting shop up on the East Coast. I ended up getting pinned up 3 different times. I got popped in 2 different states within 3 months, and I had 38 to 60 years of felonies that were pending against me.
Wow.
And truth be told, I was guilty of every single charge, if you really want to come clean on it. But the way that it went down was I had a gun charge. I had a grand jury indictment where 4 men were testifying against me. And then I had gotten caught with a trunk full of cocaine in a state 5 states away from where I was living at the time. And I called home at about this time on a Saturday night when I got arrested for the 3rd time, and my mother answered. And there's no tougher thing, bro, than talking to your mother when you've done something that has totally shamed her out of her hopes and her dreams for your life. And my mother had big hopes and dreams for my life, and here I was throwing it all away because I chose a lifestyle that was fun, it was exciting, it was lucrative, but it also had severe consequences, and I was facing them. And I told my mother when I hung up the phone, I said, Mom, don't worry about me. I said, I love you. I'll call you again when I can. But my mother tells me later that when she hung up the phone with me, she looks up into the roof of her home, and she cries out to a God that she did not know. And she said, God, if you exist, will you please help my boy? Now, at that point, that's where you would expect the angels to float into my prison cell and they would sing a hymn or something to me, but it didn't go down like that.
Right.
The way God answered my mother's prayer was the next morning I got into a fist fight with an inmate who had come up from behind me and had punched me, and he was essentially just trying to show his authority on the block and that I was the new guy and I wasn't going to come in there taking things over.
And you're not a little guy, so that's amazing that somebody would think to do that to you.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, without going into too much detail, the guy was a little loose in his head because the night that I had checked into the prison, he was in the cell next to me, and he was laying without his prison jumper or any other clothes on a steel bed, and he was screaming all night long. So I don't know what his mental disorder was, but he was there to answer my mother's prayer, because the fight that ensued would end up in them taking him and putting him back into isolation and asking me if I wanted to go to church. Man, I don't want to go to no church. I got 38 years I'm looking at doing in prison. I got a little 1.5-year-old son. Go to church. Man, I'm going to stay here and try to figure out how I'm going to get myself out of it. If I never got into that fight, Tommy, I never would have went to church that Sunday morning. And church was a 6x9 prison cell. And it was me and another inmate who was doing life, and we sat in there while somebody preached from the other side. Here's the reason I share that with you. God had to force me to get his help, because I was so unhealthy that I wouldn't have received it any other way. That's his tremendous love for us, that when we're trying to fight him, he's trying to figure out how to love us. So the amazing thing of it is that I'm sitting in there with a man doing a life sentence. Another man comes through, and he reaches through the prison bars. He hands me a little small brown book. It's a Gideon Bible, but I call it a playbook. And when he hands it to me, he looks at me on the floor of the prison. Now, you know I had on that orange jumpsuit that buttons from the belly to the neck. I had on the slip and slide shower shoes that are state issued by the county. And while I'm sitting there in a whole myriad of cigarette butts and dust on the floor trying to figure out how I was going to get out of this, God was sending me the answer, because this man said 8 words to me that changed my life forever. He said, "You look burdened. Can I pray for you?" Now, I didn't know what that prayer thing was all about, bro. I knew how to sell dope. I knew how to shoot a basketball. I knew how to run a football. I knew how to beat guys down with a baseball bat if they didn't pay me my money. But I don't understand how this prayer thing works. But I know I'm in trouble. I know I need help. And if you praying for me is going to help me, let's do it. And we prayed. I don't remember the words, but it did end in the name of Jesus. I remember that. And, bro, I walked back into the prison, and the other inmate that was with me, his name is Andrew Kirkman. Andrew asked me, "Do you have any children?" And when he did, bro, I began to cry for the first time in years, because I knew that I had made promises to my son that I had broken and would not be able to keep. I ended up calling home. Long story short, the first thing I did after all of this happened was I got a guy cut in front of me in the chow line, and I took a cup of juice, and I popped him right in his face, balled up my fist, ready to knock this joker out. Now, I just prayed and asked the Lord if he would help me, but I still had not changed. And even though I'm asking God for help, help requires us to make the effort to change. That man doing that life sentence, Andrew Kirkman, another inmate, puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Brother, we don't do that anymore." Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because, 1, I had the tools. I was given the Word of God. 2, a man prayed for me. I confessed the Lord out of my mouth. But 3, I needed somebody to put their hand on my shoulder and correct me, which is the discipleship that the Lord said man would need if we were going to follow him. And the incredible thing is where I never found that in a church, I found all of it right in a prison, because God's hands were on me, and he was surrounding me and guiding me into what I was going to do next. And so sitting in there, 38 years in prison, all I knew to do, bro, was pray. Read the Word of God. Let it fill my heart. Let it change my attitude, and let me begin to live my life by faith and not on the hustle.
And by doing that, Dutch, we know that life changed, because obviously you're not in prison anymore. You did the whole, bodyguard thing, and I know that just due to time, we're going to have to jump right into that and then into our next segment. So if you're listening right now, I know you're sitting on the edge of your seat because you're listening to The Edge at Night. So stay tuned, because when we come back, Dutch is going to get right into it. So It's just amazing. Stay tuned to right here to The Edge of Night with me, your host, Tommy Hunter.
The Edge at Night is sponsored by U-Rock Guitar Gen 2, a multi-dimensional guitar, MIDI controller, and so much more. With its zero latency tracking and real feel playability, the U-Rock guitar is the perfect creative tool for guitarists whether on stage or in the studio. The Gen 2 has 100 user customizable presets, or use the built-in USB port to connect to your favorite DAW, VST, or MIDI device and experience a limitless world of sound possibilities. To get yours today, visit urockguitar.com.
Hi, this is Larry Minetti. I played Rick on Magnum PI. This season, you've got to escape to Hawaii and stay at the Hilton Hawaiian Village Waikiki Beach Resort. Come lounge by your choice of 5 beautiful sparkling swimming pools. Surf or swim on Waikiki's whitest white sandy beach. Enjoy water sports at Duke Kahanamoku Lagoon. Visit the shops. Dine at any one of Hilton Hawaiian Village's favorite restaurants and watch awesome fireworks on Friday nights. Hilton Hawaiian Village is Waikiki's only true destination resort. With more of everything, folks, book today at HiltonHawaiianVillage.com or see your travel agency. And don't forget to say, Rick sent me.
Hi, this is Joe Mantegna. Every time my Uncle Willie tells me about his service in Patton's Third Army in World War II, I'm reminded of what we owe the U.S. Army. 14 generations of American soldiers who have courageously defended our nation. Their stories represent the best of America and should never be forgotten. Join me to help build the National Museum of the United States Army, a long overdue tribute to all American soldiers. To learn more, visit armyhistory.org.
All right, we're back once again with me, your host, Tommy Hunter, and my co-host for the night, Dutch Bradley. And Dutch, when we left that last segment, we were talking about how you were doing 38 years. You ended up praying a prayer, a salvation prayer in prison. A man started to disciple you.
Yeah.
But you didn't stay in prison forever. Obviously, you're out. And we left it at that. And so... Yeah. Let's get into now. You left. You had some time you were going to do. How'd you get out so quick?
Well, it wasn't so quick for me. It may have been quick for you, but I'm the one that had to do the time. So the way it went down is, Andrew Kirkman, and I just keep mentioning his name, man, because for 21 days, just a short amount of time, he discipled me. He actually hand wrote. And listen, Andrew's an older black man, didn't look like me, in prison. A lot of times segregation plays a major part, yet this is the man that God chose to use to help me, to bring me out of a place of ignorance and not knowing any truth, to bring me into a place of truth. And so he wrote me a 2-page prayer because I didn't know how to pray. I had a miserable relationship with my father. I don't know how to talk to God because I don't know how to talk to man. And so he wrote a prayer, and I would read it every night when the prison lights would go out. And for 21 days I read it. My bail ended up dropping significantly because the only thing I requested of the Lord was, Lord, I am guilty and I will do the time. Just let me go see my son and say goodbye to him before I have to go. And the Lord honored that. And I remember flying home, and I remember grabbing and hugging my little boy and laying him on my chest and going to sleep together, because that is the love that the Father has for his children. And that was the love that I had to experience, being the son of a God who is a father in my life. And so the way it broke down was I started praying to God, I started reading the Word of God, and I started asking him, Lord, what should I do about these different court cases? And I didn't know what words to speak. And listen, the Lord allowed me to run across Luke 12:12 is what I think it is. It says, do not worry what words you will speak, for the Holy Spirit will give you what words to speak when you are in the courtroom. And when I got in that courtroom, my attorney told me to plead guilty to 12 to 24 years. They would run it concurrent with 25 to 40 years so my charges wouldn't get stacked and I wouldn't have to do the whole 38 years. I had another 1 to 2 on a gun charge, and while my attorney's telling me to plead guilty, my God is telling me don't plead guilty. He said he's going to fight my battle for me. He goes into the DA, my attorney. He comes back out 10 minutes later. He says, I don't believe this, but the DA is not going to take you to trial on this 12 to 24 years. They're going to be satisfied releasing you to another state, doing the 25 to 40 in that other state. It means you've been arrested, but you'll never have to go to trial. You'll never serve time on these charges because they're satisfied with you doing 25 to 40 somewhere else. Now, I know you're not happy, but I was doing jumping jacks up in the courtroom, dog.
I bet.
Because that was a miraculous answer to prayer, because I listened to the Spirit of God and I obeyed to what he told me to do. So I called my attorney on that 25 to 40. I tell him what happened. She says, give me 10 minutes, I'll call you back. 10 minutes later, he calls me. He says, you won't believe this. I said, what? He says, because you don't have previous conviction on drug charges, this state can no longer serve you as a mitigated felon. They have to recognize you as a first-time offender. And as a first-time offender, they can't charge you 25 to 40. The most they can charge you with is a mandatory 7 years in prison. Now, you know I was doing the running man up in the courtroom,
yeah,
right?
You were.
I was excited, man. I couldn't believe God was coming through for me in a miraculous way, a powerful way. I kissed my son goodbye. I said, son, I love you. By the time I make it back, you'll be 8.5. I'll be able to work on me while I'm locked up, and when I get back out, I'll be the best daddy I can be. And here's the conclusion of this. I go down on that 7 years. I turn myself in. The day I step on the yard of the state prison, my 7 years is automatically cut to 3.5 years because the prisons are overcrowded. Come on, dog.
Praise the Lord. That's
I
awesome.
could have never figured how to get myself out of that, but God had it all lined up. And here's what he tells me. Son, if you'll be about your father's business, I'll be about your business. And I watch God take care of my business, Tommy, because we focus on handling his business. And that's how I got out of a 38-year prison sentence, because I heard the voice of God. The Holy Spirit used and spoke through me while I was in a courtroom. I followed and obeyed it, and he did miraculous things in my life. My son's now 24. He just shipped to Japan 2 weeks ago, and the amazing thing is that we're able to communicate every day on Monster. We talk back and forth via Wi-Fi, and he is the heart, and he is the reason why I do what I do, and he is my legacy, and I love him because he's going to experience the best where I had experienced the worst in this life.
And I will say, you know, Dutch, having known you now for a few years and seeing all this come together, and I watch you on Facebook and we talk and stuff like that, and I see this amazing relationship between you and your son, and I got to tell you, there's times, dude, seriously, like it just pricks my heart, man, and I'm so stoked for you to see because I know where you were. I know what you're doing. And folks, just because of time, you know, if you want to catch Dutch's full story, go to iamsecond.com and just look up Dutch Bradley. He now has, not only does he have this great relationship with his son, but he also has an amazing prison ministry of all things that he's doing. He's going back into the jails across America, and he's telling this story that you're hearing tonight. And when we come back in the next segment, Dutch has a special message for you, and it's just for you, that guy or that girl who's listening, who this has pricked their heart tonight. So stay tuned to The Edge at Night right here on CRN Digital Talk Radio.
Whether it's a serious fall, fire danger, or other type of home emergency, Life Alert is there for you. The company, with its slogan, "Help, I've fallen and I can't get up," protects its members. Here are some of them.
When you have a heart attack like I did, and there's no one there, Life Alert was there for me.
Having a secure feeling through Life Alert is ideal.
My independence is possible because of it.
Now, Life Alert can also protect you in a fire emergency with a system that automatically notifies our monitoring center.
Thanks to Life Alert, you can live alone without ever being alone.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-814-4041. That's 1-800-814-4041. Call now, 1-800-814-4041. For a free brochure, call 1-800-814-4041. 1-800-814-4041.
Hi, I'm Fred Dreyer for Alpha Flex with the Mega 5. When it comes to joint pain and inflammation, I'm an expert. I played 13 years in the National Football League. I've been hit and run over by the best of them. So when I have a flare-up, I don't want a painkiller. I want a solution. I've been taking Alpha Flex with the Mega 5 for a long time now, and I'd be lost without it. It's powerful and natural, so don't settle for over-the-counter or prescription painkillers. Get Alpha Flex with the Mega 5. It's the solution to pain and inflammation. Go to alphaflex.com right now and enter promo code DRYER. Order now and get free shipping and handling. That's ALPHAFLEX.com, and don't forget to enter promo code DRYER, DRYER. That's alphaflex.com, enter promo code DRYER.
Attention small business owners. Growing your business can be tough. Just when you thought you were making money, you found out that you owe the government money. And now that you owe the IRS their cut of your business profits, you may be broke. And if you don't take things seriously, you could go to jail or have your business shut down. But you do have an option. If the IRS is threatening you for unpaid taxes, call the Tax Resources Network. Their tax professionals and ex-IRS agents have over 23 years of experience dealing with the IRS, saving business owners and the self-employed millions in tax dollars. Let us negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. We may be able to reduce your tax debt for a lot less than you owe, help with the IRS audit, and even criminal investigations. If your business owes the IRS $15,000 or more and the IRS is threatening you, don't wait and let your business get shut down or worse. Call for a free consultation. Call 800-910-4980. 800-910-4980. That's 800-910-4980. Again, 800-910-4980.
All right, welcome back to The Edge at Night. Hey, listen, I know a lot of the set-free soldiers are listening tonight, and I appreciate y'all staying up this late. I know I'm going to see a bunch of you tomorrow over at church, but hey, Dutch, when you're in town next time, dude, I got to introduce you to this pastor, Pastor Phil Aguilar. Dude, you guys will hit it off. But anyways, you want to share something from your heart to the listeners right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just let you have it. It's all yours.
You know, one of the stories that I think of as a highlight is when I was with Puff Daddy. It was the VMA Awards. I had woke up that morning and I knew that that day was going to be an amazing day. And when I got to his home, I got inside of his $350,000 Rolls Royce. I started it up. He got in the back and we went through the 25-foot high gates of his $14 million home. And when we pulled out, there were 10 police on motorcycles. There were 10 police in cars. There were 5 big monsters doing security in SUVs. As I drove across the water, I watched the palm trees bouncing in the wind, and I would say to myself, life does not get any better than this. It was a good life. I looked at the Carnival Cruise Liner ships laying down in the Bay of Miami. And as I crossed the water, all of the red lights were shut down as people stood outside their cars taking pictures as we crossed the water. I watched as a helicopter would hover over top of the car because they were doing a live shoot of us on MTV as we drove this convoy across to the American Airlines Arena. I feel a tap on my shoulder. I lean back and I say, "What's up, Puff?" And he says, "Stop up here. I want to talk to the MTV cameras." I stopped right on the spot. He did his interview. I pulled inside. 100 people rushed him into the MTV Music Awards in Miami, Florida. I sat in the front seat of that $350,000 car, and I said one final time, life does not get any better than this. And I heard the sweet voice of God, and he spoke to me the same way he has spoken to you. And he said, "But you are not doing what I created you to do. I told you, go and tell people what I have done for you. That was a life-changing conversation I had with God, because everyone listening has a story. But two things make your story great. One, you have to share it with somebody in order to help them. And two, you have to make sure your story has a happy ending. And I want to compel everyone that's listening to my voice right now. You have got to work on the ending of your story starting now. I don't care what you struggle with. I don't care what you wrestle with. Nothing can impede you from sharing what God has done for you. I don't care if you have to share what He's done for you while you're still struggling to get these other things that you're weak to off of and out of your life. The greatest part of the healing process is helping someone else with the things that you need help with yourself. And I want to compel you, share what God has done for you, because until and unless you do, He is not obligated to do anything else, because He's given you a story so you can help somebody else and so you can make sure it has a happy ending. In Jesus' name.
Oh, man,
Amen.
That's it. Another show ended with another amazing story. Dutch, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, dude. I love you, man.
Tommy the truth. Tommy the truth.
That's
I love
it.
you, dog.
I love you too, man. I'll call you this week, man. We'll catch up.
All right, my brother.
Thanks, man. All right, everybody else listening, thanks for tuning in to The Edge at Night with me, your host, Tommy Hunter. Hey, listen, I want to give a shout-out to my folks over at Servant's Gear. And if you don't know who they are, go check them out. Servant, it's spelled SRVNTZGAR over on Instagram. And then Katrina Valenzuela, I saw your comment. Yep, that's right. His story is crazy amazing. So go check it out at IamSecond.com. Look up Dutch Bradley or just go to DutchBradley.com. He's on there. Man, so many awesome things going on. I'm going to actually be ordained as a pastor tomorrow. I'm so stoked about that, man. And discipleship, just like what Dutch said, is going to be the root and the foundation of our ministry at Lifeline Ministries. So, again, thanks for tuning into The Edge at Night tonight. I love every one of you because, you know, you guys make this show the success that it is. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next Saturday right here.
Which is most appropriate because that was your theme.
Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio show sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear, high-definition digital sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio's 6 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all of your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before in CRN